analyze that situation, and then arrive at a workable program, rather than necessarily walking in with, a set of approaches already laid out as such.
Contracts help?
Definitely contracts. Very, very important. And you bring up a point that I think is very important. Many of us, as African people, we want love so much, and we talk about African brotherhood so much, until we become very loose in our business relations one to the other.
That's right.
And we think, and we see people, they belong to the first world like we do, and they belong to ASCAC and African Echoes and so forth. And we assume, and they know the ideology. And we kind of make an assumption then that they're all right and it's going to be okay. And I tell you, nothing destroys friendships like business.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing leads to hate like partnerships. And I can tell you from experience. Okay? And a lot of it is based on the idea that, well, we are African brothers, we should love one another. We should trust in one another. We should. But I tell you, you should have contracts. You should have, how you're going to relate to each other should be clearly spelled out, or else I thought you said, and you'll get into that mess so rapidly it'll make your head swim.
I'll be right back.
Huh? No, I want to talk about the television. Bring up so you want to push his pet peeve. This is my campaign.
Everyone, please return to your seats. We're going to get started now. In case y'all haven't read the program that we handed out, number 4 of the conduct rules states that you can feel free to encourage the moderators or speakers. A simple amen, or that's right, will suffice. I just wanted to remind y'all of that for when Brother Clark comes before us, you'll give him his just due. That's right. Each time I introduce Dr. Clark, it's a challenge because I try to do a little better than I did the previous time. And I don't know whether I should cut back in the introductions or do more research to add new things because it's getting harder each time. He is an elder and a prophet. He is one of our most profound African intellects. He is a man for those who seek an example of manhood. He is a teacher who does not simply instruct, but he gives clear guidance and direction. For 20 years, he has been a professor of African world history at Hunter College in New York. He is an historian, editor, and writer. His books include Malcolm X, The Man in His Time, and Marcus Garvey and His Visions of Africa. He is the praiseworthy one to whom those who are praised give praise. As a testimony to our African legacy of producing African intellectual giants, he is self-taught. He has battled most of his life against our oppressors, and he remains standing. He has looked into books and found information that most historians and doctors of philosophy do not know exists. Because just as there is life in the deeper depth of the ocean of which the average fisherman knows nothing, so there are depths in the ocean of research which some of the most learned have never dreamed. I'm afraid that maybe we African people will never truly come to understand this man. For as the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey stated, the time has come for the black man to forget and cast behind him his hero worship and adoration of other races, and to start out immediately to create and emulate heroes of his own. Brothers and sisters, let's put our hands and feet together for our elder brother and friend, Dr. John Henry Clark.
I will try to sum up what I have to say in less than an hour because I want you to have plenty of time to ask some questions. I will look back in order to look forward. I believe that all history is a current event and that nothing is truly ancient because everything that ever happened continues to happen. And the first man that sneezed is still influencing the atmosphere and will for all times to come. And the first kid that threw a pebble in the ocean is still influencing the ocean and will for all times to come. So everything that has ever happened continues to happen. And I'm glad Amos Wilson spoke before me because he eliminated a whole lot of things I was going to explain. And he left me room to operate in another arena where I need a lot of time. He explained the nature of the trap, the economic trap. Now I can go back and historically explain how you got into the trap. How we as a people, an African people, the world's richest continent, the world's richest people, how we became so poor. Because we have been under siege for over 3,000 years, and we are still under siege. Because we have things other people want, think they can't do without, and don't want to pay for. And we have things of great riches that we do not understand. We're walking over diamonds as though it's sand. Walking over gold as though it's dirt. What attracted other people to us? Our great culture riches, our great material riches, and another thing we've never made the best use of, our great spiritual riches. We never made the best use of our spiritual riches because we began to play with spiritual toys invented by other people.
Yes. Speak on it, brother.
And we have religions invented by other people, invented to control us. Now, I'm not talking about don't be a Christian, I'm saying don't be it that way. Yes. We belong to fraternities and waste a whole lot of money and time and don't understand that the whole concept of secret societies and fraternities were taken from us in the first place. I didn't say don't belong to these Greek fraternities. I said make them African and use the African base of it, other than the Greek base of it. It came from us in the first place. At the base of all of this is what? The loss of confidence. The loss of the feeling that you couldn't do it. The mind being imprisoned and thinking we can't do it. Now let's deal with a late 19th century, early 20th century. A Caribbean person came here from Jamaica. He had 3 initials in his name, but nobody ever knew his name. A.E. something Shaw. All right, now, Shaw came from a country where he had seen his people collect taxes, seen his people, police constables, schoolmasters, and the like. Petty administrative jobs. Why did he see this? Because the English, who are pathologically lazy,
yes,
didn't want to do the clerk job. So clerkship in the Caribbean islands became a thing of black domination. While in this country, clerkship became a way for upward mobility for the poor whites. So having seen your people in clerkship in large numbers, you begin to lose confidence in your ability to do what you haven't even tried. This whole thing is hinges on the loss of confidence and your eyes not seeing certain things that make you believe that you can do it. Now, Shaw took the examination. He passed. The paper said whoever gets the highest mark will get the job. Collector of Internal Revenue for the Hampshires, the richest part of Long Island. Now, when Shaw took the exam, he asked black Americans, why didn't you take the exam? The black American told him, look man, even if we took the exam and made all kind of marks, they ain't gonna give us the job anyway, so why should we bother? All we're talking about is confidence. Caribbeans lie to each other and lie to us. We lie to them. We haven't come together because each one of us are reacting to a different form of oppression in a different way. He was a majority. It makes a difference. If you are a majority, even though you are a slave, you have a different psychosis than a person who is the minority. It's a different makeup. We argue over the relative merits of slave masters when none of them have any merit. You know, my slave master was better than your slave master. You know, slavery in the Caribbean was, come on, that's a damn lie. Slavery in the Caribbean started. Slavery in the New World started in the Caribbean. They used to take the slaves and break them in the Caribbean for the American market. It's like you're breaking a horse. Slavery was more brutal in the Caribbean, but they reached a point where the brutality had to be toned down so that it could survive. But they're the majority. And this Englishman they sent over to do the basic mechanical work became so lazy because he had access to all those women, all those lush and plush, and he would just say yes to temptation until he just gave out a hint. He said, some of them just died. I mean, you know, you might as well drink all the water and try to drink all the water in the sea if you think you got to say yes to every temptation. There's too much out there. Well, now, they developed in the Caribbean a free man based on his skill. Now, Shaw came out of this concept of doing things. And when he passed that examination in New York, he kept hounding them. Your paper said the person who gets the highest mark gets the job. And eventually, this man bugged him until they gave him the job, and he was collecting internal revenue for after all those rich people. Now, after he became collector of internal revenue, a black tax collector in the United States who knew just as much about taxes, even more, because he knew biblical taxation, Charlie Anderson became collector of internal revenue, collector taxes for internal revenue, First District, Wall Street. What I'm trying to show you is that until you see someone looking like you doing something or aspiring to do something, you don't have enough confidence to believe that you can do it. That Shaw set in motion the confidence that led to not only the early migration to Harlem, but the first Harlem political renaissance under a black bell captain, Ed Lee, and two black geniuses, Charlie Anderson and Ferdinand Q. Moore, who founded United Colored Democracy, a black arm within the Democratic Party. Now, if you find a black arm within the Democratic Party today, someone's going to call you racist, and you're going to cringe and accept it. And all you're doing is looking out for yourself. The first thing a Jew do was to find a Jewish cell or arm within everything he gets into. And if it can't do anything for the Jew, he's getting out. He's not going to apologize for it. You can call it racist instead of sky turn another shade of blue. He's going to look after himself. I call this the essential selfishness of society. At the bottom of our loss of confidence is that we played with other people's cultural toys and forgot the better made cultural items of our own making. Now, we began to lose image and confidence with the first invaders of Africa, the visitors. You got to study the visitors. But the Hebrew invasion was no black people hung up with the Bible. They won't deal with the Hebrew invasion. They won't deal with the invention of the Bible, a Jewish survival book, and a damn good one. They won't deal with the fact that most of us copied from Africa, and that the African original was better than their copy. They won't deal with any of that. They won't deal with the early stories of deluge or flood stories. All these stories were there 3,000 or 4,000 years before they got there. They copied it and made it their own. Adam and Eve's story was already there. All kind of flood stories already there. We don't read our best writers. We don't read John Jackson's pagan origins of the Christ myth. Everybody got their Christ story. Everybody got their creation story. They're surely entitled to it. Listen, everybody's creation story. Everybody's homogeneous story. You go to Africa, Somalia, they said that we are the most homogeneous in all Africa. I said, good, thank you. Go among the Herreros, they said the same thing. I said, thank you again. I don't deny anything. I don't tell anyone they tell a lie. Everybody have the responsibility of creating an image of themselves that makes them feel good about themselves. This is what we have gone wrong. We've gone wrong in the whole thing of image about ourselves. When the Hebrews came into Africa hungry, we fed them, we clothed them, gave them spades, gave them our women, and they copied our skills and our folklore and made it their own. And when the first invaders came, they joined the invaders instead of the Africans who had befriended them and saved them from starvation. Yes. You ain't going to deal with this. Because you think that you're dealing with the people of the book. He said, the people of the book. Book? What book? They gave you a book that was yours in the first place. Yes. The same as the people started searching for a holy grail that wasn't lost in the first place. When other people begin to change your image of yourself, they destroy your confidence in what you can do for yourself. When these foreigners, the Hittites, begin to attack the culture, begin to interfere with the gods, or imitate, or do their imitation, it was interfering with our confidence. And this went on because the Africans have created for over thousands of years confidence in themselves. What you forget that for most of the days we have been on this earth, we were an independent, self-governing people, doing everything for ourselves that needs to be done, collecting all of the taxes, keeping the roads intact, moving the dynasties wherever we wanted to move. This went on for thousands of years, and we didn't even know that there was a European in the world. So when people bring all of this nonsense about European bringing intelligence, first place you got to know the chronology of history. When was the Odyssey and the Iliad produced? About 1200 BC. That's the first book to come out of Europe that showed any intelligence. And that's a piece of folklore by a mystical character called Homer. But then Africa had had thousands of years of civilization behind it before the Europeans showed the slightest intelligence by producing a book. Had long before the European wore a shoe or lived in a house with a window. Africa, we don't go back and pull on this, but when you got to deal with the age of Europe, the last people to come into the mainstream of what is called civilization. In ancient times, there was no Europe. Ethiopia is mentioned in the Bible 80 times. England is not mentioned once. Germany is not mentioned once. Scandinavia didn't exist. And what makes you think that these were the first people? Only two nations now called Europe mentioned in the Bible: Rome and Greece. Look at your geography. Where are they located? On the Mediterranean. When people make a case for Egypt not being a part of Africa, I can make a better case for Rome and Greece not being a part of Europe. Because there was no Europe. Now, the subject is facing the 21st century. And are we ready for the 21st century? Now, I can answer the question negatively and we can all go home, but it won't do any good. But if we're not ready, and we're not ready, why are we not ready? Because somewhere along the line we lost confidence. We lost the confidence in the rule of nation. We lost the confidence in nation management and nation development. When you lose this, everything else goes. And when a foreigner comes into your country and changes the color of your God, and you accept it, violate your women, and you accept it, you don't punish it, they got you in a trap. Change the way you dress, change the way you think, and change the image of God. But we are the only people who worship the image of God that don't look like us. I'm not saying don't be spiritual. I'm not saying don't have a religion. I say have one that complements you or leave it alone. Religion is deification of a people's culture. Do the religion we worship deify our culture or deify us? I'm not saying don't worship a God, but a blonde, blue-eyed God who needs a haircut hanging in your church. There's no deification of your culture and no deification of your father image.
That's right.
The God in every society looks like the father in the home. Why is it that you make an exception? And I'm saying so long as you worship a father alien to your own appearance, alien to your own kinship and your own color, the black father in the home is going to lack the full respect he needs to be the authority figure to give direction to the home. It's as deep as that. Now, what developed to change the image of ourselves and the image of our deities make us lose confidence in ourselves and our nation structure? Because our enemy came first from Western Asia, mistakenly called the Middle East. Those first invaders, 1675 BC, Western Asia, shepherd kings, Hittite, and the visitors, the Hebrews, joined, made league with them, and produced the world's first wheeler-dealer politician, Joseph, called the provider, who would have been at home in Chicago. A wheeler-dealer who could provide. And what could he provide? He had the ear of the king. And who was the king? The foreign kings, not the African king. Now you have to understand what is meant. A king, Joseph dies, his relative dies, and a king arose who knew not Joseph. Who was this king who knew not Joseph? Africa. The Africans are coming back to power now, regaining their country. They owe the Jews no favors. That's the king who knew not Joseph and did not owe him any political favor. And because Joseph's people were collaborators and clerks around the foreign king owed them favor, but the new African kings coming back to power owed them no favor. Now Africa, in its great generosity, mistaken humanity would say, those who wish to obey African law may stay.